People think Warren Buffett became rich because he picked great stocks. But that's not true, and if you listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, it might save you decades of financial regret. Because after studying wealth for over 90 years, Buffett doesn't just talk about what to buy, he quietly warns people about what to stop buying immediately. And this warning isn't flashy, it doesn't trend on social media, but it destroys more wealth than bad investments ever could. Because most people don't go broke overnight. They slowly bleed money through things that feel harmless at first. Things society celebrates. Things advertisements convince you are normal. But Buffett says these purchases quietly steal your future. And the first thing he warns against is buying things to impress people who don't care about you. Because when you spend money to look rich instead of becoming rich, you're trading long-term freedom for short-term applause. And Buffett has said many times that if you buy things you don't need to impress people, you don't even like, you'll end up working your whole life for someone else's approval. And this is why luxury cars, expensive gadgets, designer clothes, and lifestyle upgrades trap so many people. Because the payment ends, but the habit never does. And the second thing Buffett warns about is buying on emotion. Because markets, sales, and even life decisions are designed to trigger fear and excitement. And when people buy out of panic or hype, they usually buy high and sell low. And Buffett famously says the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. But this applies to everything in life, not just stocks. Because impatient people buy now and regret later, while patient people wait, think, and win quietly. And the third dangerous thing Buffett warns against is buying things you don't understand, because complexity hides risk. And Wall Street loves selling complicated products to people who don't ask questions. And Buffett avoids anything he can't explain in simple words. Because if you don't understand how something makes money, you don't understand how it can lose money. And most financial disasters happen not because people were unlucky, but because they trusted things they never fully understood. And another silent wealth killer Buffett warns about is buying into debt as a lifestyle. Because debt feels small at first, but it grows silently. And interest doesn't care about your intentions, your hard work, or your dreams. It only cares about time, and Buffett has said that if you're smart, you don't need leverage. And if you're not smart, you shouldn't use it. Because debt magnifies mistakes. And many people confuse debt with progress. But progress built on debt collapses faster than it grows. And then there's one warning that almost nobody listens to, but it's one of Buffett's strongest beliefs. And that is to stop buying excuses. Because excuses are the most expensive thing you'll ever purchase. They cost you time, discipline, and accountability. And Buffett credits his success not to genius, but to habits repeated consistently over time. And every time you blame the economy, the market, your job, or your background, you're buying another excuse that delays your growth. And another thing Buffett quietly avoids is buying constant entertainment at the cost of education. Because while most people spend hours scrolling, binge-watching, and consuming noise, Buffett spends his time reading, learning, and thinking. And he once said the best investment you can make is in yourself. But most people ignore that advice because it doesn't give instant pleasure. And finally, the most dangerous thing Buffett warns against buying is the belief that you have time. Because time is the only asset you can't replace, can't borrow, and can't buy back. And when people delay learning about money, investing, discipline, and patience, they're spending the most valuable currency they have without realizing it. And Buffett didn't become wealthy by chasing trends, showing off, or gambling on hype. He became wealthy by avoiding mistakes, staying humble, thinking long-term, and saying no to things that distracted him from his goals. And the uncomfortable truth is this: wealth isn't built by doing extraordinary things. It's built by avoiding ordinary mistakes that everyone else keeps making. And if you stop buying what Buffett warns against, you don't just save money, you reclaim control over your future, your time, and your peace of mind. And that's the kind of wealth no market crash can ever take away. And what makes Buffett's warning even more powerful is that he lives exactly opposite to what the world promotes. Because while society pushes faster, bigger, louder, and more expensive, Buffett chooses simpler, slower, and quieter. And this is why he still lives in the same modest house he bought decades ago. Not because he can't afford more, but because he understands something most people never learn: that happiness and wealth do not increase at the same speed. And when your expenses grow faster than your wisdom, you don't become successful, you become trapped. And this is why Buffett warns people to stop buying the illusion of success. Because success that is rented can be taken away, but success that is built slowly stays. And another thing he warns against is buying into get-rich-quick promises, because whenever someone promises fast money with no effort, someone else is usually getting rich at your expense. And Buffett has said that there is no such thing as a good investment that you don't need to understand or wait for, because real wealth compounds slowly, quietly, and patiently, and people who chase shortcuts usually end up taking the longest route back to where they started. And this is where many people misunderstand Buffett, because they think he is boring.